All right, good afternoon, everyone. So you're welcome to today's class. We are going into applications. Everything we have been doing so far is more like operations, looking at your operating system, looking at your, your hardware and all that, so that you'll be able to understand the system. Okay, we talked about kernel. We have done things that has to do with virtualization the last time, and we were able to install a virtual machine, upon which we installed what we could refer to as a guest operating system on top of the host operating system. So having done all that, as we looked at some of the CLIs, I mentioned quite a few of them. We've touched on the command prompts and we actually did some things. So this time around, those aspects are for people that will be into system administration, developers, and so on and so forth. But there are some people that just uses the system to carry out specific tasks. So the tool that used to carry out specific tasks is referred to as an application. That's the simple definition of the tool. We are going to do a general overview of it, and then we are going to look at, I dropped a document on the chat. We are going to use that document to just start off. I'm sure we're not going to end it today. We're going to continue with presentation like PowerPoint. If there is enough time, we might look at database management system. Of course, next letter is information management. That's where we're going to look at data properly. We're going to look at Excel and some of the basic things. Like DAIPODS is actually focused on basic things that every normal person is supposed to know. So application, let's start. Application software, we've talked about system software. Today we're going to be looking at application software. It allows users to perform their day-to-day activities more efficiently, okay, when using the system. So what happens is that you want to watch a movie, use an application called VLC. You want to do data analysis, use an application called maybe Microsoft Excel. You can use Tableau, you can use Power BI, and so on and so forth. So when you have all that, you are performing a specific task. You can see on the slide, see gamut of different applications. The one used to check your mail, Google Map, look at social media, Facebook, Skype, and all that, even your browsers. So each of these icons represent a particular software, and each of those software, they have what they are used for. So that's what we call application software. Okay. As such, they are developed as a means of business tools to assist, okay, with the designs, to facilitate communication, and to support educational activities. This is not just the only thing. These are just to mention but a few. There are a lot of things you can use it for, even, editing videos, editing pictures, and so on and so forth. So, having mentioned that, I want to share a concept. Okay, you will know that we exchange information from one device to another device. So one of the things that help us is a concept I'm going to explain. You can see, you look at what happened now. The picture was sent from this phone, okay? Now, you can put on your Xender, you can put on your Bluetooth, it used to be infrared and all that. So most of the time, you might be wondering, how is picture leaving someone's phone and entering another phone? It is actually being transferred, okay? And the transfer doesn't really happen, the way we think about it. So what happens is that a bunch of ones and zeros that are sequenced in a particular order is transferred to the other phone, and then this other phone receives the picture. Now, the question you ask yourself is, what makes this thing possible, right? So this is just a short distance exchange of information. It can happen over the long distance using the internet and the cloud and all that. It doesn't change anything. The principle still remains the same. Okay, the distance might differ, but the principle still remains the same. The principle is that each of these bits have a way of being arranged from the point of sending to the point of receiving. So the device that receives these signals will rearrange it the way it is. And a lot of things can be rearranged. So it's not that simple. So I'm going to introduce the context of what? File extension. Okay. So how do you know that a file that came from one phone to another phone, you will notice if it's an audio file, the icon of the audio will show up there. If it's a video file, so this is what brings about that the file extension. Whenever you are sending a file or transferring a file, you must indicate, or the device or the system software will help you to allocate it a custom default extension. Okay, so extension is why you send a picture from another phone to another phone. You will notice that if the phone that is receiving the picture does not have the app to run or to open that particular file because of the discrepancy in the exception, you will see it as an error because that particular file does not really have a predetermined file extension from the sender. Okay, so in that case, you might be trying to figure out what kind of software will you use to open it. So let us now talk about file extension. There's also file extensions, right? File extension is the last three letters in any file nomenclature. So you can see the array there. You see AI, CRD, docx. So all these things that you're seeing, even some of them are repeated. They are just the file extensions that will determine what kind of file we are dealing with. So let us go into it. Let us look at text. For text, because we're going to start with word processing. So for text, you're going to have specific file extensions, and I need you to pay attention to this. The first one is .doc. That is the normal, it's called documents. So it's a file extension that belongs to, okay. So sorry, hold on. All right, so we are talking about file extensions. So what we are going to be doing now is be looking at each of them, right? And see what each of them stands for. So doc is for normal document, Word document. So docx is actually the recent version of it. So when you have recent version of Microsoft Office, okay, it used to be, they moved from Office 2007, Office 210 to Office 213 to Office 216. Okay, so they moved to Office 219. Now you are going to be hearing things like Microsoft 365. It actually started as Office 365. They used to call it Office 365. I'm going to explain the reason. So before now, if you are using 2007, for instance, and they upgrade to Office 2010, you have to uninstall 2007 and then install 2010. So all the features, you can get all the features there. So if they go up again, probably 2013 was the next one. So you needed to install the 2013. So it continued to some point where Microsoft started asking themselves, is this really, necessary, especially when you have something like CI/CD, continuous development, continuous integration, which has been proven to have worked very well in the app environment. What do I mean? Okay, please pay attention. What I mean is that it works very well is that, when you are using, for instance, GTB app, you don't need to uninstall it before you get upgrades. Sometimes they'll give you a notification and tell you that upgrades are ready. Okay, so you get all the upgrades. If you click, if you tap on the button, sometimes you're required to put off your phone and put it on again or something like that. What I'm saying in essence is that you no longer need to uninstall GTB app and then install a new one, or you don't even need to install a new one on top of the one. So what you have is updates. That's what you call it, right? Back to what I'm trying to say. Microsoft discontinued the idea of having a lifetime license. So what it means is that, what lifetime license means that if I buy a license, 2013 license of Office, I own it forever. Okay, so it's like a one-off buy. So after 2016, they are like, I don't, they decided that they're not going to continue with that model. So what they do now is to do a subscription model. In this subscription model, you cannot claim that you own the license you are using forever. So when you hear Office, because this thing started with what we call Office 365, before they migrated, they are now, the name is now Microsoft 365. I'm going to tell you the reason. So Office 365 means you renew it annually. 365 is 365 days. So when you install Office, you pay for 1 year and you get all the features in that Office. All right. So what happens now is that you don't need to, it's now like every new edition, every latest, you don't have to wait until they release another one, which used to be the case. If you're using 2030, if you are patient until you release 2060, everybody jump on it, go and test it and all that. In this case now, updates can be done at any point. You understand? So sometimes you open your system, you see that there are some changes that have been made, if you want to, so when you make payments, you are enter, for instance, this is 16th of July 2025. So if I pay for the license now, that license is going to last me till 15th of July. Okay, next year, 2026. So it's like 360 days license. That's what that Office 365 signifies. So that's what I'm actually currently using, because if there's any new thing like all this new AI stuff, I might need to get it and all that. Okay. So let me go back to the slide. So when you see docx, it means that you're using something like 365. Okay, that's what took me to that story. You're using the latest edition of doc. Okay, X means it doesn't have like a specific edition or version. So anyone you can add, X is like is an unknown, so it's keep growing. So you have EML. In fact, anything you see markup language, email markup language, HTML markup language, it has to do with files that can be displayed on a browser. Okay, so you have short messages, you have pages, RFT, TXT, log, MD, WPS. In fact, you have something like YAML, and you have something again like a JSON file. So some of these things are, what you are going to be seeing. So this thing is just to show you, this particular slide is just to show you that there are different text files. Let me go. So do I want to read all these things? Maybe not, but let's just look at it. TXT is plain text, no pictures, no tables, no images, plain text. Okay. CSV is comma separated values. I hope people are paying attention, because of those that will likely do data analysis tomorrow. This is one of the common file extensions that you're going to be seeing. When people want to send you a file, it's actually trying to mimic the idea of table, where you have your rows, where you have your column. Okay, so when you have all that, when you import it, it will kind of extract the information, okay, and convert it to a table depending on the software you are using. So that is what all the commands does, okay. So now what we are going to do is we're looking at other file. I know I mentioned this in JavaScript object notation is the full name for it. Okay, there are some people in the waiting room. Can I admit them? Maybe they're having issues. So now we have XML, extensible markup language. Okay, you see YAML there or YML. Okay, it's not a markup file. So it is a human readable data serialization format commonly used for configuration files and data exchange between programming languages. So most of you are going to be meeting YAML, especially those that are doing their DevOps and cloud computing. So the other text file .ini initialization file, it is a configuration of file format commonly used by Windows programs to store settings and what preferences. They have .md markdown. It is a lightweight markup language with plain text formatting syntax. Markdown files are often used for creating formatted text documents. Log file. It contains records of events, okay, that occur during software operation, typically used for troubleshooting and debugging purposes. So these are some of the tests. You can see they are used in various ways, okay. There are more of them actually. There are more of them. Configuration file, you have batch file, you have shell. Remember we talked about shell scripting, SQL, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Okay, so some of these things are the text. Okay, so you can see text is not, when I talk about text, it's not just the one in Microsoft Word. So you could see it cuts across everybody. Okay, the programmers that are not here, well, I hope they understand, this principle. Okay, so let's go to other ones. We have images. Okay, images, of course, it's pictures, videos, sorry, pictures mainly. So in images, right, images, you can categorically divide them into two. You have bitmap and you have vector. Okay, sometimes bitmap is called raster. So I want you to know these things, right? We are going to see the comparison. Raster is comprised of pixel. We have talked about pixel before. The smallest dots that you have, if you have to zoom in to a picture, that is composited to give you the full image. Okay, so it's pixel based. While vector comprises of parts, okay, dictated by mathematical formulas. We are going to do this thing extensively when we talk about design principles and design elements. So we still have enough time to think about it. It constrains resolution and dimension. This one is infinite. What do this particular line mean? If you keep on zooming a picture, you get to the point where everything is blurred. Okay, it means you have reached the last pixel. So what you are seeing at that level is just the pixels. You see them as if they are made up of blocks. Okay, but when you draw a vector, it is infinitely scalable. I'll give you an example. If you draw a circle in Microsoft's PowerPoint, you can increase that circle and you see the same thing. You can keep increasing the circle, especially if you put a fill, like a color fill to it. You understand? It is going to go infinite. But raster, which is bitmap, is constrained. So you have resolution. So when you are talking about cameras of iPhone, this by this resolution, you know that we are talking about pixel, capable of rich, complex color blends. Okay. But this other one is difficult to blend color without rasterizing. Okay. Blending means compositing. Like so I can take you now and put you on a mountain that you have never visited before, sitting down and addressing people. So all these things can easily be done with bitmap, especially Photoshop. If you go to Photoshop now, I can remove my pimple. Okay. I can manipulate the bitmap very well. So some of the files under raster, you see .jpeg, JPG, GIF, PNG, TIF, BPM, which is bitmap, PSD, which is Photoshop, Photoshop document. PS means Photoshop, then D means document. C plus .ep. So these are some of the files, okay? Extension. Remember, we're talking about file extension. File types also, .ai, for instance, is Adobe Illustrator, not artificial intelligence. So you have CorelDRAW, you have CV, SVG, and all that. So most of these are classified as what? Vectors. So raster software includes Photoshop and blah blah blah. Vector software include CorelDRAW, Illustrator. We are going to do this. You guys are going to understand it better when we do elements of design. So this is what we mean. If you look at this, the vector on the top left hand side, you can see they zoomed into the line. You see that it is infinite. You cannot exhaust it. Okay, you can keep zooming in, you're going to see that line. But check the one on the right hand side, the bitmap. Once you zoom in very, 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 very well, at some point you begin to see blocks. Those blocks are the pixels. Okay, so this one is made up of the pixels. That's the bitmap. Like I said, another name for bitmap is raster. Okay, so you could see the same example all over. You have this E that can easily manipulate, color it. But the other E, which is bitmap, you can see it is in pixels. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to go into other aspects. Now, software for bitmap, you mostly use Photoshop because that's where you can do compositing. You can hardly touch your face in AI or CorelDRAW or Photoshop, sorry, or PowerPoint or any of those, even Canva. So it is the bitmap that you can use to say, okay, I want to make the face sharper and all that. So there are tools that I can use to accomplish that. Vector, on the other hand, is expensive. So it's less expensive to have, vector, even though they don't do the same thing actually. So everything you see in this vector now is curve driven, but not by pixel. Okay. So now there's something I want you to understand. When you are compressing a file, okay, you just need to understand something. That there's what they call lossy and lossless. Okay. Lossy is that if you look at, let's look at that this illustration here. Okay, is lossy because if you check the first line there of blocks are actually right the original. The second one you are seeing has been compressed, but if you look at it very well, it still somehow retained it still somehow retained the properties of the original. You can see there is red, there is yellow, there is blue, there is green, there is this thing. But we have lost some of them. Okay, so we actually freed up some memory spaces so that we can have, if our intention is to have red, yellow, blue, green, purple, and pink, then we can manage to reduce some of them. So when you are removing, it is called lossy compression because you are losing some bits. But if it is lossless, see what is going to happen. The same information up there, in this case, what we have done is to just use number. You can see it is what? Lossless because we are not losing anything. What we rather did was change the information in the database. And the information in the database is saying that we have R9. Look at it down there. It means that there are 9 red blocks, Y7, yellow 7, blue is 11, okay, G is 6, P is 4, and P is 10. Now, what this means is that I can expand. You can see the information is taking less space, okay, to represent it. But I can come back. You know that with this information you have here, you can re-energize the first one. You can kind of what's the word now? So you can actually bring it because you can reverse it because you already know the number. So you could see this is what we call lossless compression, where everything is maintained, okay, within the same context. So what you're going to do is the information here is smaller. Look at it there. It's even smaller than everything you have, but it represents the whole thing. So now images, okay, they'll have their own various file extensions, right? So images, you have JPEG, which is Joint Photographic Expert Group. I gave the rundown. Probably when you're watching this on YouTube again, you can pause and get all these things, but we might not just have to go through all of them. So we have PNG. PNG, the full meaning of PNG is portable network graphics. So why I define lossless and lossful is when I kind of go through this now, you'll be seeing some of those terms so that you don't get confused when you see lossy or lossless. Okay. So JPEG is Joint Photographic Expert Group. That's the full meaning of JPEG. So it's actually a standard, okay, it's used a widely used lossy compression format. Lossy again coming in here for photographs and complex images. Okay, I'm not going to read everything. The second one is PNG. PNG, the full meaning is portable network graphics. Okay, is a lossless compression format suitable for what? Images with sharp edge, okay, text or areas of solid color. Now, why am I mentioning this thing? Very soon, some of you will be looking for materials. Are you a designer? Are you a developer? This thing is going to concern everybody. So you need to understand the kind of information. If I want to do a company profile, for instance, should I be asking for a JPEG of the logo or should I be asking for the PNG of the logo? Okay. So there are other formats. So we have graphics interchange format, they call it GIF, is a lossless compression format that supports animation and transparency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you have your, what's it called in WhatsApp again? Sticker, yeah, sticker. Every sticker you have is GIF because it is not a video, it's a picture that is animated. So it is called graphics interchange format, GIF. Okay, I can show you example. Sometimes when you want your presentation to be very interactive, I use it a lot. I kind of bring a GIF image that depicts what I want to see and drop in there. The animation will keep repeating. So let's just go on. This is not, we still do design principle and design elements. So TIFF, okay, is tagged image file format. Okay, it's a flexible format that supports both lossy and lossless compression. Bitmap, which is BMP, is an uncompressed raster. Remember, I told you that raster and vector are used interchangeably. So bitmap is an uncompressed raster graphics format that stores images, image data pixel by pixel. Of course, I've explained this before. So you'll be seeing things like BP, sorry, is a modern image format developed by Google that offers both lossy and lossless compression. It provides smaller file, it provides smaller file sizes compared to the JPEG. So if you want to save space, you might have to save it as, especially those that are going to be using it in the web. Okay, so web picture, that's what that means. SVG, scalable vector graphics, similar to PNG, mostly what designers use today. And then we have PSD, Adobe Photoshop documents. Of course, people know what Photoshop is used for. So you have high efficiency image file formats. It's a modern image format that offers improved compression efficiency compared to JPEG. So, guys, here you have it. Audio is probably having the same thing. So, what I've been trying to do now is file extension, how different files can be recognized, on a system using specific OS. So, you can see audio, you have compressed, uncompressed, compressed, and lossy, and all that. You can see there are different file extensions: PCM, WAV, AI, AIF, then you have CDA, MP3, OGG. So all these things, they are all standards, okay? Now, defining each of them, we have MP3. MP3 is MPEG-1 audio layer 3, okay? That's what you call MP3. So we have other ones like advanced audio coding. You have wave audio file format. You have free lossless audio codec. You have Apple lossless audio codec. So I think this one is quite similar to the first one I just mentioned. You have audio interchange file formats. It's a lossless audio format commonly used on Apple's Mac OS platform. It supports high quality audio and is uncompressed. You have OGG, of course, you've seen some of these things now. OGG is a free open source audio format. Okay. WMV, I'm telling you, okay, Microsoft Media Audio. So they have their own standard as well. Then, of course, the almighty MP4 and M4A. So these are some of the examples. Let's go to now looking at, we have talked about text, we have talked about videos. Now, sorry, we have talked about texts, we have talked about files. Now let us talk about installation files because they are part of the file. So installation files, okay, look at that big definition there, okay. A format that are used for running and executing application or software program in a computer. So when you are installing anything, if you download an app, you're trying to install the app on your phone, what you are simply doing is to run the APK. And that APK is referred to as what? Application software. Yes. So we have APP, DMG, MSI, BAT, GAR, which is Java programming, UI is Python, then Shell. So you guys can see that we have a lot of file formats. So because of that, we are not going to dwell so much on it. Because I'm looking at exactly maybe 3 o'clock, we will switch to what we plan to do. Meanwhile, for those that are not joining, I dropped a form, not a formula. I dropped a document that we're going to be using for this project. Okay, so I'm going to let's just go through the application software. So we started with this before we veered off to the file extension, which is very key. Now, there are four categories of application software. Number one is the general purpose. Everybody knows this one, like VLC, YouTube, Facebook, and all that. But there are customized, software. They actually they are modified general purpose. So if you have a general purpose, you can modify it. Example I'll give you is which example, like okay, you have Excel already. So you are not the one that is kind of developing Excel, but you can use Excel and develop another project that people will appreciate. Okay, so if that happens, you are doing a customized software. That's what I'm trying to say. So there are custom written software. This one is just like your app, your regular idea that's coming from entrepreneurs. They are coming to you, so that you can specifically do all the running around. Okay. So you have the specialized software. Of course, this was as, for instance, if you are in a cockpit for a plane, okay, you will use your own software to navigate the. Sorry, it's as if, hold on, it's as if I can't. Somebody is trying to join the call. Okay, yeah, joined. All right, welcome, David. So what we're going to be talking about now is the this thing. So you don't need to bother about all these things. So if I'm flying an airplane or I'm using message, that is actually what they call a specialized software. Okay, in the refinery, what you're using there is not really Windows, or you have, software that you're going to be using for your own, let me say, discipline in the if you are an engineer in the site, you are likely to get a software that will help your probably project reporting and all that. Microsoft Word will not do that for you. It's actually a specialized project that is built for those that will actually help the things. So I want you to look at, let's go to what we have today. Please, again, go to the chat. Let me drop it again. Go to the chat and download the work we are going to use. I don't know whether the people that are joining now have seen it. Let me drop it again. I'm dropping it right now. So just download it and keep it very soon. You are going to jump on that. Okay, commonly used productivity tools. Okay, we have major productivity tools that are used by business clients and end users for personal purposes, such as Word, okay, word processor, and that's what we are going to start off with today. Spreadsheet, presentation, database, you can go on and on and on. This is not exhaustive. Okay, so like I said, the list is not exhaustive, but now there are other tools that you can now access on the cloud. And I have to mention this, like email, data management, mind mapping, project management, conferencing, Teams. You see Teams there, Grammarly, Pixie, Zapier, and all these products, all these icons are actually products that are developing. They are products that are developed by for us to carry out a specific task. You can see I listed them there on the left hand side, so you can choose any one. So this is where some people might go into specialization. Okay, I want to become a data management officer and all that. You now know where you can go and get this. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's not limited to Microsoft Word at all. So how do we explore it? So everybody download it first of all. I want us to look at it. So let's explore Microsoft Office. So Office is a suite. They call it a suite because they come in bulk, and when you install it, you have access to all the, not all, some of the Microsoft materials. So, okay. So when you click on the search button, simply type word, it will come out. So I don't want to bore you with it. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about Copilot at the end. I know the reason why I'm going to leave it for the end. Copilot is an AI, yeah, it's an AI agent that is integrated to some of the Microsoft programs and Microsoft project. So what this Copilot does is that it's just like a ChatGPT. You can interact with it. It's very intelligent, and you'll be able to generate your information. Even in the Excel, you can ask for specific analysis to be done, and it will take it off from there. So personally, Lawrence is still learning Copilot. You understand? I'm still learning it. You can join me, right? You can just because I want to know what the future holds. The way I'm seeing a lot of things now, things will have to change drastically. It's already started, but I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure we can ever exhaust it. So Copilot is something you can see let me drop the link as well. So what you can do is go and test trial version, put your ID card, and then probably you can discontinue if it's not okay for you. So let me quickly drop this so that people that might be interested will go for Copilot. See me advertising for for Microsoft Shop. But it's all good. It's all good. So let me, so I'm dropping it in the chat now. Another one. Chats. So you can take your time to check it out. That's the link to the Copilot. So let me continue. So Copilot is something that I want to really introduce this year because I've never done anything about it before now. So I will have to do my very little searching and find out and probably prepare on how to deliver the lecture across. So this is what Microsoft looks like. First of all, you're going to see a search bar. Very important if you're looking for something within the Microsoft document that you're working on. Then you have your quick access toolbar. Okay, we're going to talk about all these things very soon. You have your quick access toolbar. You have your then this is what we call tabs. If you look at your system now, in fact, not just Microsoft Word, I think most softwares have decided to adopt this system of tabs, either on top or below. Okay, most of our federal government websites, you have two layers. Okay, when you click on the first one. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that a lot of technologies has adopted this tab idea, meaning that each of the words that you see there is actually pulling. Sorry, give me a minute. A minute. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start immediately. No time. This is where we end it today. It's already, yeah, it's exactly 3 o'clock. So for the next 1 hour, you're going to be I'm going to give you a crash course on Microsoft Word. So you have the tabs. So each tab will have what we call this. So please note this terminology I'm using now. Okay, quick access toolbar, search bar, tabs. Tabs is very important. And then under the tabs, you have your ribbon. So the ribbon you are seeing there, you will notice is under home. After home tab, you have insert, you have draw, you have new tabs and everything. So these are all the this is so now under each ribbon, it is divided into groups, right? You can see this ribbon, this whole thing is a ribbon, but it's demarcated. You can see one demarcation here. So this demarcation, one of them is called a group. So then under the group, you see all your commands. Okay. Now let's start. I'll pause the recording and set up this thing for now. Okay. All right, so we're going to start. I'm going to pull up a real, not a slide now. I'm going to pull down this slide presentation. So this is a real Microsoft what this is. So this is the GUI. Of course, this is not a new name now. GUI is simply means graphical user interface. So we are going to quickly go through it, right? So this is what we call quick access toolbar. Sorry, hold on. Oh, this is done. So let me open another one. It's up and running. So this is Microsoft Word. This is what it looks like. So this is the GUI. I'm going to introduce everything. Like I said before, this top is what we call quick access toolbar. The top right hand side, sorry, the top left hand side, up until you have search here. Okay, so this is where you search for elements inside the documents you are working with. This is the name of the document, so you can change the name. We are going to come to that. Then you now see your close button, minimize, restore, and then your account information. So that's the topmost level. When you come down, you now see your tabs. These tabs are the most important component of this because that's where you have all your commands. So you have your files, okay. The tab file opens actually a a new I will not call it window, a new area where you have a lot of settings that you have to do. So you have all this. So what I was trying to say is that any of these tabs that you click on, you have what we call this is a ribbon. Okay. So each of them will have their own ribbons. If you are clicking, so each tab will have its own ribbon. So when you click on a particular tab, you can see the ribbon, but the ribbon you can see is demarcated into what we call groups. So you have this clipboard is a group, font is another group, paragraphs is another group, style is another group, voice and all this. So these are different groups. Then you come down, you see your ruler. Okay, your ruler is what indicates the margin that you're going to be using for this, whatever you want to do, right? Then you come back down, 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 you see some word count. This is where you're going to be seeing. If you look at this thing, you can see it shows you the number of pages and which page you are on, the word count. You can see other modes of presentation, whether you want it to be like in a web mode, read mode, in a print mode, and all that. So you can equally zoom down here, you can zoom in, okay, using this zoom handle, right? And zoom out again. So having said that, I'm going to be moving quickly. The next thing you are going to look at is all the ribbons. So if you go to home, you see clipboard, font, paragraph, style, voice, sensitivity. So let us look at some of them. Okay. Now for clipboard, this is where anything you copy in the while you're having a session is stored here. Okay. So whether you have let me just give you an example. So if you have been using okay, so this is a document I'm working on. Let me just show you something. So see what is going to happen if I click on this clipboard now. Okay, if I expand this, it will give me the clipboard. So there's more arrow here. What it means, just watch what is going to happen. If I select this one now and copy, right click, and then I copy it, it adds it to the clipboard. Okay, if I copy another thing here now, this line, right click, and I copy, you can see, just watch the clipboard is increasing. So if I did this one and what copy, so what it means is that it's storing all the information I've either cut or copied. And please, it's not limited to this particular document. Anywhere in your system, whether it's on the web, it will store that information here. So why is this important? Sometimes you might want to go back to something you copied. All you need to do is, like for instance, if I want to paste the first thing I copied before doing all this thing, I'll come here and what? Choose that first one and then say what? Put my cursor where I need to paste it. And I will say paste. Okay, it will paste that in that particular information. Okay. So where your cursor is blinking, is it white in color? Sorry, listen. Okay, so you can see it has pasted it here. So let me remove it. So that's the importance of a clipboard. Another thing you want to learn in this clipboard is what we call format painter. This format painter is a very powerful tool, and I want you to know this thing I'm saying now is not what everybody knows, right? Now, format painter is, for instance, you see this is a different color. If I want this one to carry the, I will take the format of this and paint it across this. That's a, for me, that's another fast way of formatting my document. So, for instance, this one that is green, if I click on it, I don't need to click on the whole thing. I will now come and what? Copy, okay, and then I'll go and select another part of this thing. You can see it has changed it. Okay, I'll repeat it again. Let me close it now. So you can see this is green. I want this slide to be green or whatever. So I'll click on the one that is already green, come to this home tab under this group. There is a brush there. You take the brush and then you can actually select the one that you want to transfer this information. Sorry, the formatting. So you can see if I release it, it becomes green in color. So let me just undo all these things. Okay. So this is very important. I use it a lot, when I'm doing design. After probably doing gradient, doing some coloring and all that. And I might be tempted to try and repeat the same thing. No, I'm not going to. I'll just copy the properties that are there that I took time to do. So that's it. So let's continue. This area is the area that most of you know, so I'm not going to spend my time here changing font size, centralizing it, all those things. So we are going to talk about paragraphs, okay? Now, for me, I want you to understand that the paragraph that we mean in this thing is whenever you use enter to separate some components, you have created a paragraph. So if, for instance, I am typing in this particular document, okay? So if I am typing, this document, once I click enter and go to the next line, I've created a paragraph. So there's a paragraph between these two. So paragraph is not um really the way, it's not, we are not adopting the idea of paragraph here based on our English language, right? The idea of paragraph here is simply just tapping on enter. You have created a paragraph. This is the reason why I said it. Everything that you see here, let me just create more. Create more and more. So you see these four things, four of them are in their own paragraphs separately. Okay. So everything here that is paragraph will, if I select this four, right? If I click on these bullet points, it will add bullet points to all the paragraphs. That's what I mean by paragraph. Okay, so each of these, they are on their own paragraph, even though it seems that they are the same, but they are not. So another thing that we need to know, in fact, everything that is here under this, you can see 1, 2, 3. You can change the fonts, you can change this thing, the way everything looks. You can centralize it. Okay, you can align to the left, you can align to the right. So all these things is just paragraph. So you probably have this one, for instance, if you want to color the paragraph as well, you can see, you can color the paragraph. That's not what we want to do here. There's a concept I want us to really, really look into as far as this paragraph is concerned. And that's where I want you to download that particular document. So I'm going to open it now and we are going to start work. That's what we are going to use and run our practical today. So when you download this, first of all, this is what it looks like. Okay, we are going to do a full, this is a full project and we are going to do the what? We are going to organize this full project today. Once we are done, I can beat my chest and say that we have actually done something. We are going to format this project from end to end, from the beginning to the end of it. Okay, so that's one thing that we're going to take home today. Anybody that is, that joined the class. So I want you to get your own ready. I want you to get your own ready. Let me just so all right, we now have our documents here. This is a project. Okay, I'm assuming we are going to format this project. It's scattered and it's not really well organized. So our duty and our job is to organize it. First things first. What do we go to? First of all, look at the title page. It's not really very well, it is kind of skewed. So what we're going to do is first of all, you select, of course, I've taught you how the mass operation select this. Okay. The first thing you do is to centralize it. And centralizing is Control E. But if you look at the paragraph also, under the home tab, under the group paragraph, you see where you have align to the left, align to the center, align to the right, and all that. So I'll centralize it. Then what I'll do is, see under this paragraph, I want us to explore everything here. You're going to see spacing, okay? You can give spacing, you can equally increase the font size. So you see with this now, we are good to go. Okay, this is occupied. That's how to do these things seamlessly. All right, let's continue. The next thing we are going to do, look at this abbreviation. So what we're going to use this page to do is to learn how to align all the shortcuts. So I'll select all this, right? I'll now, the shortcut is Control. There are 3 of them. Sorry, 4. There is left, there is right. So it is Control L for left and Control R for right. So let's do that. This is Control. If I say Control L, you see what is happening. Then if I say Control right, okay, If I want it to be center, it's going to control E, not C, because C is already reserved for copy. So control E is aligned to center. And then the last one is control J, justify. Justify is simply balancing up the spaces in between, aligning to both the left and the right for eligibility. So we haven't done this now. What you are going to observe is that these things are acronym actually. CEP means European Center for Employment and Enterprise, blah blah blah. Now they are not supposed to be the same. They are not supposed to be together. So how do you separate it? You put your cursor where they are separated, right? Let me zoom in a bit. You put your cursor here, please. A lot of us are fond of doing this. They will now use their space button and you see them moving this. Then we'll go to the next line. Okay, and then they'll start moving something like this. Okay, so what you do, let me go take this one back. There's a button called tab. Okay, when you click on it, the button is on top of caps lock. I don't know the kind of system you're using and how your keyboard is configured. So the tab is always on top of the caps lock. If you look at your system, towards the right hand side. So when we click on this thing, use that tab. If I tap on it now, that tab have a specific distance, okay, that it can indent, so that you don't need to bother about, like trying to measure it yourself, which is what I just demonstrated here. You don't need to. You can see everything is now making sense. So, well, you see them. I'm not going to finish all of them. This is one thing I've been able to. Okay, so that's how. Hold on. Okay, I think this is good. Like I see the beauty is coming out. Now, the next thing I'm going to teach you people now is styling. This is the main thing I want to teach today. After now, you can go and practice it on your own. If you're able to get styling today, it means that at least you have done something. It is styling that will help you generate your table of contents automatically, right? Your list of figures, list of tables, and all that. So I'm going to pause again for us to generate. Then the next one, 60 seconds again. We'll continue from where we stopped. Now, let me explain the principle so that you understand what we're trying to say. You see, this is table of content. Let me zoom in. This is table of content, right? You're supposed to have the list of the topics here and the pages. That's what we're supposed to have normally. Okay. Now let me explain the concept of generating automatic table of content. So what it means is, assuming you have an occasion and people have different invitation card. There's VIP session, there's VIP session, there's premium tickets and everything. So the kind of ticket you buy determines the access that you have. Okay. Now it is the same thing with this, in the sense that I'm going to go through this work and invite specific write-ups to come and join in the table of content. So see the table of content as a VIP session. And what we are going to do now is we are going to give people the tickets to enter that VIP session. Okay, so that is the concept of styling. So what it means is that anything I want to bring to this table of contents, I have to go through the work and invite them to the table of contents. If you understand this simple principle, you are halfway there. So I'm going to start from the top, right? This title page here, the question is that, do I want the table of content? Yes, I want it in the table of content and the page. So probably it's supposed to be page 1. we have not done regional pages and all that, but let's take it one at a time. So this title page should be in the table of contents, showing that the title page is in page 1. If I go to the next page, I have list of abbreviations here. Okay, it should be in my this thing, in my table of content. So what is the next thing? You see, table of even the title table of content should equally be in table of content. List of figures, list of tables, executive summary, chapter 1, the title, heading, and everything. So what it means is that I'm going to start giving them this invitation. Okay, so that at the end of the day, I'll open the door to the what? Table of contents, and only selected members will enter that table of content. With this principle, I think it is very, very simple and clear. Okay, so let us go to the title page, right? So what you guys need to do for me is to select the title page. So when I talk about invitation, the correct word, the actual nomenclature is styling. So I need to style the headings and the title in such a way that if I invite them, if I want to activate them or put them out and display them in the table of content with that particular ID or something I've given to them, it is easy for us to handle that. Okay, so for the title page, now I want you to observe, because we are still in this home tab ribbon. After the paragraph, you're going to see another group called what? Styles. Look at them here. Okay, see another group called style. Now you see in my own here, it's showing only 1, 2, and 3, but there are a lot of styles. If you click on, there is a drop down at the edge of this particular group. If you drop it down, you are going to see a lot of styles, right? Now we are going to start with title page. Okay, so I'm going to look at this, click on this title page. Then the one I'm looking for is not here. I want to make this particular word title page. I want to make it a title. So making it a title is not different from what I've said. Making it a title means I am giving it an access to where he can enter. So when I style it, it will now be able to come up in the table of contents automatically. Okay, so look at this. You now click on title. So when you this thing, don't choose any other one, just choose title. Okay, you can see the format has changed. The format has changed. So you can see that it brings out a small triangle here, meaning that everything after here, can be collapsed. That's what that means. So let us go to the next one. List of abbreviation. So I'm going to select this list of abbreviation, click on title again, and then make it a title. You can see. Now I'll go to the next table of content. Of course, I want it to be a title. I'll click on title. So I'm styling it now. Okay. I'll go to the next one. List of figures. I'll click on it. Click on style. Okay. List of tables. Okay. Title. Summary. Basically summary. Make the title. Then I want to let me just select this one. Okay. And justify. Let me just justify. These are just, yeah, this is good. Anyway, this is not the most important thing today. Now, let's go to chapter 1. I want to explain something here. Chapter 1, that chapter 1, okay, is a title. Okay, it's a title. Background information is a heading. I'm going to clear this thing very soon for everyone to understand. So it's a title. So let us continue with the title because it's title that we are doing now. I'm going to come back for the headings. So I'm going to select this chapter 1, click on it, make it a title, right? I'll go to chapter 2. Every other thing inside this chapter 1 is headings. So you see all these things, they are all headings. We are going to come back to them very soon. So if I go to chapter 2, chapter 2 is long. Okay, chapter, no, it's not finished. So chapter 2 now, you see the chapter 2 itself is actually a title. Okay, let me remove this 2 here. It's supposed to be women. So the chapter 2 is all about women. The chapter 2 is a title while women is the heading. Like I said, I'm going to come back to explain this. So I will click on chapter 2, then click on title. It becomes a title. We're not touching anything heading yet. So which other? I'm going to the next going to the next. Where is it? Okay. So chapter 3 now. Title. Chapter 4. This is chapter 4. Let me just put it there. Chapter 4. Select everything here, then make it a title. Reference. So this is the last one. Reference. We're going to make it a title. Okay, haven't done this. I'm going to go back, just scroll to the top. I am done with title, right? I want to mention something here. Now, you know that I have gone through this work now. I've given invitation, not to everybody, but to specific files that are going to be, that's going to be presented in the table of content. So that's what I mean by styling. So I have styled. So whenever you hear styling, I have styled them. Styling is simply giving them a special feature so that when you call them up, you have them assembled. Now, this work does not still have a page number. So the table of content we are trying to do, we have a page number now. So what we are going to do is you go to insert tab. So when I say tab now, I'm sure all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to insert tab. When you go to insert tab, you are going to see different groups. Okay, it's going to open a ribbon. You're going to see different groups. Please go to the group called header and footer. You are going to see page number there. When you click on it, it will ask you which position. Of course, I want it in the bottom. I'm going to choose bottom. Is it bottom left or bottom right? Any one. I'm just going to choose any of them. You can see it has added it. Okay. Okay. So now you can see now I am in the header and footer mode. So I cannot do anything here. So all I need to do is to close it here, or double click in the middle of the project. It will bring it back to the editing mode, right? Now you can see we have your this thing. Now let us pay attention. We are going to do preliminary pages now and the main page. So what do I mean? Let me go to the beginning. If you check, this is page 1. Look at it here. Then the next one is page 2. Table of content is page 3. List of figures is page 4. This one is page 5. This one is page 6. Now, chapter 1 is page 7. This is not supposed to be so. Chapter 1, the first page of chapter 1 should actually be page 1, because that's where the project actually started. Everything is more like a preliminary. So this is what they call preliminary pages. All these pages before chapter 1, they are all preliminary pages. So we need to number them differently with I, and whenever we stop, so that the chapter 1 will begin with page 1. That is the idea. I'm not the first. If you look at most of the books you have read, there is something like acknowledgement to forward. Some people do dedication and all that. All those things are simply what? They're not part of the main work. Okay. So we call them what? Preliminary pages. So what the next thing we are going to do now? So the first thing you do is just add your number normally. Don't worry, I'm going to correct it now. So what you are going to do is, if you want to, okay, for preliminary pages, you will come to the end of or the beginning of your page. Look at my cursor now. My cursor will come to this place, in the margin, and then I'll double click. So when you double click, right, what you are seeing here, okay, you see the footer and you see the header. Okay, so when I scroll again, you see the header, sorry, you see the footer of the previous page and the header of the next page. So what am I trying to say? Now, how do we correct this thing? Okay, now the first thing I did was to double click. The only reason why I did this double clicking is to show you that we don't have sections here, right? So let me now explain the principle behind preliminary pages and then the normal pages of the work. Preliminary pages, right? We should be able to break this work into two parts. I'm giving you the principle of part A and part B. This thing I just said now is the only way that you can independently give them page numbers so that one will not affect the other one. That is the principle. That is the principle of what? Preliminary page. So you notice now that from what I just explained, if you're able to break this work into two, I can independently name the other side I, and I. Then this other side, I can independently start it at page 1. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the concept of what? Preliminary pages. So what I did is to show you people now that I have not created a section. That's why if I let me click on the main work. Now, if I want to see that thing again, I'll come to the tip of this, I'll double click. So you can see footer and header. What I should be seeing in the place where I have page 1, okay? I am not supposed to be seeing footer and header. I'm supposed to be seeing section 1 ends here, and then section 2 starts here, so that I can independently number this section 2 the way I want it. That's what we are going to do. Okay, let me double click and come back here. Now, pay attention. The sectioning should happen between this executive summary and chapter 1. So where did the executive summary end? It has already ended here, you understand? So please, when you want to create a session, put your cursor right on the previous page, like this place. Okay, my cursor, just put your cursor here, because I want to add a section break here. So where my cursor is, okay, is where the transition from this previous page to the other one starts. So now my cursor is there. Now, what we are going to do is to section this work. How do we section it? First of all, put your cursor where you want to section the work. That's step 1. Step 2, you are going to go to what? Layout. That's step 2. Okay. Now, under the layout tab, you see it, of course, all of them has ribbon. But what you notice here is that the first group in this particular ribbon is page setup, right? And that's where we are going to work with. So for the page setup, you don't choose any of these things. You go to breaks. This is what I want to introduce to you now. You can see, if we don't do this break, forget it. We are not going to have. So this is a place where you can break the work. So remember, you can even break this work into different chapters that has number one, number two. I've seen a book like that where chapter one has its own numbering from chapter one to whatever. Then the same book, oh, you see another this thing. So now let us do the breaks. So when you click on this, right, it gives you all the options, right? If you read, I don't want to read all of them. Time is against us. You see section break. Look at it down here. That is exactly what you want to do. So I'm going to click on section break. Now this section break, now you see it has happened though, but you will not really observe anything. What we are going to do is the same thing I just did before. Now I'm going to double click on this tip. Now, when I double click on this tip, what are you seeing here now? You have seen that this section break I did here is successful because the end of this first one, you can see footer of section 1, and this one is the header of section 2. Now, it means that there's a section break here. Before now, what you see is footer, header, footer, header, footer, header. So, we are successful, okay? Now, remember what we said. When you break it into two, you can now independently number them. That is where we are going to. So I'm going to go back. Okay, please make sure your cursor is back in this particular section because it's now under this section. No, please don't carry your cursor and put under chapter 1. You understand, please? So what we are trying to do is chapter 1 section. So put it here. We want to number it now. Okay. When you put it here, you go back to, sorry, when you put it here, go to insert, right? We go to insert. The way we inserted page number, what we are going to do now is you go to insert. You can see page number, the same thing. But this time around, please don't just click on bottom or whatever. The number is already there in the bottom. What you are going to do is go to format page numbers. That's where the magic happens. So when format the page number comes up, what you are going to see is what format are we using? Currently, we are using 1, 2, 3, 4. If you click on this, you see other formats. -1, -2, -3. There's another format, ABC. There's another format, capital A, capital B, capital C. You can see, you can scroll, you can see many format. So I'm going to choose the one that has I. Okay. I, and I. That is the one I want. I will select it. Okay. Now I will say start at, don't worry, this is the beginning. When I say okay, now see what has happened. Let me go to the first page. Now we have independently, you can see this one now is I. Okay. The abbreviation, this one is what? I. The table of content now is what? I. Then you have this one also, IV. Okay. Then you have this one, V. Then the executive summary is what? VI. And then chapter 1. Let's go to chapter 1. Chapter 1 is what? You can see chapter 1 is 7. There's a problem here. Remember what we said? We said that we want chapter 1 to bear the page 1 because the chapter 1 is page 1 of this. So what simply happens is that you change these ones. Okay, this is 6 VI and simply continued here with 7. No, that's not what we want to do. So we are, but you can see that we have independently determined the kind of numbering system. If you want A, B, C, D, you can go back and do it the way you want it. Okay. So this one now, we are back here. So please place your cursor in any place in section 2. What you are going to do is go back to that insert, go back to what? Your page numbering. Okay. Go to what? Format what? Page number. Now, format page number is 1, 2, 3. So we are okay with that. But what we are not okay with is where is this starting? If you look, you will see that what is selected here is continue from previous session. No, you are not supposed to continue from. I want you to, now I'm going to choose start at. Okay. And okay, it's already showing me 1 here. I'll say start at what? Page 1. I'll now say okay. With this, I have been able to what? correct all those. So if you check this one now, this chapter 1, you can see page 1 that is here. Okay, you can see page 2, you can see page 3. Understand? So yes, that is how to independently name various parts of your work. Okay. So even after this chapter, probably if you want your appendix to be A, B, C, D, you can name it like that. Okay, so you are free to do that. So what I just showed you now is how to section. Remember, the idea is to section the work into 2. That is the first reasonable thing to do, so that you can independently number them the way you want it. All right. So now, having done that, the next thing we are going to do, remember, we are still trying to generate this table of content. Why I did it, because in the table of content we want to generate automatically, I say invitation, won't they have numbers? That's why you first of all dealt with the numbers first. Okay, now the numbers has been settled. Don't worry, even if you scroll to the end of this particular work, the numbers are there. You understand? So what we now do is, how do we create our table of content? Let us go to chapter 1. Okay, I want to introduce the concept of heading. I want to introduce the concept of what's heading. Title and heading, they are not the same thing, no. So pay attention. I think heading is more tricky. If you understand it, this is very, of course, if you don't understand it, you can go back and probably watch the video again. All right. I have 10 minutes to end. I have another call. So let me try and see. So please come to this chapter 1. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to be fast so that I know the video will be uploaded today again. So this background information is the heading of this particular chapter. So what we do is, first of all, I want to make sure that we have other subheadings. So the highest heading is heading 1. The subheading is heading 2. Okay. Heading 3, heading 4. Let me give you an example so that I can portray the fact that I'm trying to make here. If I want to talk about something like the people, the culture, and the tradition, like 3 things, just this is an example of the 36 states in Nigeria. Okay. Now, if you come to the table of contents, what you are going to see in those table of contents are Abia, Adamawa, just the way you're going to see the states. You're not going to see any states people, culture, tradition, and all that, because they are children of it. So each state will have their own culture, tradition, and I don't know, music, something like that. So what is going to happen is that where you have the names of all the states, consider that as level 1. That's the highest level. When you come back now and now start seeing something like their people, their culture in one of the chapters, so now those things are under what? The heading 1. So you can refer to these 3 things as what's heading 2. So they are on the next level. So if you come to tradition, for instance, and tradition has other children, for instance, marriage, age grade, and all that. Okay. Now, it will be under, you cannot put it under music. That's what I'm trying to say. So, or whatever this thing. So you now put what did I just even say, sir? Yeah, the traditional rights, the burial rights, and the age grade. So these are the tradition, for instance. So they are under that. So what you now have is, you have 3 levels. Okay, let me repeat again. The highest level, level 1, is the states. Level 2 is the 3 subcategories. Level 3 is the subcategory of the 3 subcategories. So you could see that most of the work you are going to be reading will have this kind of hierarchy. Okay, haven't mentioned that you can achieve that using your headings, and that's why I said you cannot achieve that using your title. You can see we have just finished title now, but heading will give you opportunity of having children upon children and all that. Okay, so the first thing you are going to do is first to recognize and activate sub what headings, because you might be tempted because I know how to do style. You now go to home tab and you go to style. You can see that in this style you are going to have heading 1, heading 2 there. Please don't choose it yet, just yet. The reason why I'm saying it is that you want the style, okay, of this particular heading to have children. You want to make it possible. So the first thing you do is not to go to the style. The first thing you do, you come here, select this background information, okay. Then under home tab, okay, in the paragraph group, look at it here. In the paragraph group, we are going to see what we call multi-level lists. Okay, if you check it, it's close to where you have 1, 2, 3, numbering 1, 2, 3. It has multi-level list. Let me click on it now. This is what comes out, right? Multi-level list is exactly what I explained to you. There is the highest level, and there is a sub-level of that highest level, and then there is a sub-level of the sub-level of the highest level. Okay, so what you are seeing here, when you click on the multi-level list, what you are seeing here is the way it is arranged. The current list, you can see you have 1 as the highest level. That's the heading 1. The heading 2 is using an alphabet. You have A, and heading 3 is using I. This is commonly seen when probably you are looking at maybe WAEC questions. You're going to see like 1A, I, okay. So you might have number 1, then you have 1A, 1B, 1C. So if 1A has children, okay, you now see something like 1AI, 1AII, 1AIII. So that's the 3 levels I'm talking about. So you can see there are other words. If you look at what is showing here, you see that there are other ways. Some of them will use bullet points. You can see the one here, okay. It means that the highest bullet point is the one that is like star, followed by the one that's like an arrow. So you can see it keeps on going down like that. So whenever you see this one, notice that, but we're not going to use bullet point. You can see this one. This one is used for constitution. You can see the highest level is article. Okay, after article, you now have section. Then after section, you have heading. So if I want to quote constitution, I say 1999 Constitution, Article 30, section this, subsection this. These are the kind of thing you hear in national assembly. So this is the kind of style that somebody can use to produce that kind of document. But for the sake of the one we want to do today, right? This is the one I want to use. Look at it here. You have 1 heading 1, okay. You have 1.1 heading 2. You have 1.1.3 heading 3. So this is the template I want to use today. So I'm going to click on, remember what I did was I chose this, okay, background first. Please, that's what you do first. So when I chose it, you can see what happened here. This one has come out from nowhere. Okay. The good news about this thing is that you do this particular step I just did now, you do it only once, right? And what did you observe? Now, let's go back to our style again. If you go back to this style, what you're going to observe is that now heading 2 is now having 1.1. So we have automatically configured it in such a way that it recognizes that anybody that is going to come under this heading 1 must have 1.1. So you can see that is the advantage of what we just did, as against just rushing to the what? To the style and choosing heading 1 or heading 2. So having done that, we are going to now go back to the work. So we are going to find the children of background information. I'm going to go down here. Okay, you see this particular one, you see EU legal and policy framework. Now, this 1.1 here is actually manually. It is not supposed to be so. So I'm going to click here and backspace and remove this 1.1. Okay. Now, what you are going to see here is I'm just going to go to my style and I'm going to choose heading 2 here. Once I choose heading 2, see the 1.1 comes out on its own. Okay, now I'm going to go down to this work, look for another heading. So this is another one, changes, blah, blah, blah. So this 1.2 is not supposed to be, so I'm going to remove it. So this is still heading what? 2. You can see it is now 1.2. I'm not the one that typed this 1.2 at all. Now, what you are going to observe here is that you go back to our style. You now see that immediately you choose your first heading 2, you can see heading 3 has come out here also. So that is the essence of what we did. Let me just rush through this. It's time already. I'm going to come back next week too. Okay, so we have this 1.3. Okay, I'll click on the heading 2. It gives me 1.3 overview of this, right? I'm going to continue. Okay, so click on this 1.4. Let me just finish this and then I will go. Okay, so I want us to do something. Please let us assume that this definition, right? I just want to add heading 3 just for the sake of the lecture. Let's say that this definition here is a child of this 1.4. That's what I want to show now. So I'm going to click on this, okay, definitions, and then I will choose heading 3 because it's a child of 1.4. What you are going to see here is going to be 1.4.1. So I'm going to click on heading 3 here. You see it's 1.4.1 because it's under 1.4. So if I go on again, if there's another thing, okay, this is ahead. Methodology, this is 1.5. Okay, I'm going to remove this 1.5 that is typed here. I'm going to choose heading 2. Okay, I'm going to go back to what heading 2. If I choose heading 2, it will automatically give it what? 1.5. If this source and nature of statistical data is a child of, let's assume is a child of this heading 2, I'm going to click on it, okay, and then I'm going to choose heading what? 3. You can see when I choose heading 3, it's now 1.5.1 because it's a child of 1.5. So risk factor, let's say risk factor is another child of that. I'm going to choose heading 3 again. So heading 3 is 1.5.2. So we are done with this. Okay. Let's go to chapter 2. So chapter 2, these women now, okay, your guess is as good as mine. Remember I said the highest level is what? Level 1. So we have left chapter 1. We are now in chapter 2. So we cannot be choosing them. So we're going to click on women and go back to the highest level, which is level 1. So for this whole chapter, the women, that word women is actually the heading. So I'm going to go back here. I'll choose my heading. You can see automatically 2 comes out here. Then overview and socio-economic trend. I'll remove this 2.1 here. Okay, because this is a child of this. This is going to be heading 2 because this is heading 1. Okay, now I'm going to click on this and now I'm going to click on here and now choose what's heading 2. So you can see automatically it's 2.1. It recognizes. So I'm not going to go on. I'm just going to generate table of contents and end. Okay, so that you guys will see the reason why we have done all these things. So go back to where you have your table of contents, and that's where we're going to end today. We are going to generate this table of contents. All we have been doing now, remember I said we are giving special invitation card in the name of headings and titles, so that when we come to this, there is a table of contents. When we come to this place now, we are going to generate table of contents here. Okay, so that only those invited here will come in here. That is the concepts that I talked about, right? So this is where I'm going to end today. I'm going to do it now. Step 1, how do we generate our table of contents? Having done all this, because this is the meat of the matter. This is the reason why we have been doing all the things we have been doing now. the table of contents can be generated automatically. So what we are going to do now is I'll put my cursor here because it's under this table of content I want to generate. You can see my cursor is blinking here. Look at it here, right? Okay. So the first step, make sure your cursor is here. Now, the first step you do is you click on References tab. Click on References tab. When you click on References tab, the next thing you are going to do is you look at the ribbon of References tab. You are going to see Table of Contents group. You are going to see Footnote group. You are going to see Citation group. You are going to see Caption group, Index, and all that. So what I want you to do is under the Table of Contents group, the first one is Table of what? The first command there is Table of Contents. So you click on it, it is going to bring back all these things, right? Please don't choose any of them. We have to do some customization. These are templates that has already been given to you, but we want to do some customization. So I am going to click on custom. Look at it here, custom table of contents. Now I haven't clicked on custom table of contents, so let me just go through this and then end. So you can see you have heading one, blah blah blah. This is what is showing you how it's going to be. Tab leader means, in some table of contents, you see dot 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 one, just like you're seeing it here. So if you don't want that tab, tab leader, you can say none. Look at none here. But I'm going to leave my own. I usually like that. If you want it a straight line, if you want another kind of dotted line and all that, so this is where you have it here. So you leave that one there. Then the second thing you're going to see here is you're going to see format from template, blah blah blah. Just leave it like that. Don't touch it. Okay. Show level. Now, show level is how many level. Remember, we have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. You can even go on and have heading 4, heading 5. So sometimes if you have up to like heading 6, I am not sure you want all of them to show up in your table of contents. Sometimes you might choose, okay, it's only the heading ones, that's like background information, women, and so just those ones. Okay. Sometimes you just want the heading 1 and the heading 2 to be the only thing. Okay, you can see we are beginning to restrict the things that you want them to appear in your table of content. So I'm going to leave it as 3 levels. I want to, because I did 3 levels. I want to show you all of them, right? Now the last one is click on up. Don't just click OK. Click on options. There's something I want to show you here. Now when you click on option, another table comes out, right? You see heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3 have been marked because of what? Where we are coming from, he said show 3 levels. Okay, that's why they are marked. And TOC level, you see 1, 2, and 3. What does it mean? First of all, TOC means table of contents. So the level here is not the heading 1, heading 2 we are talking about now. The level here is the indentation. Okay, if you want them to be on the same, like aligning them to the left hand side, so the one that is under a particular parent will shift in a bit towards the right. The one that is under one, so if I don't want that, I can say let all of them be on the same line by saying 1, 1, and 1. That's what that means. Okay, I don't want that in there. That's my own preference, because most of the time when they are indented like that, the left hand side of my table of content is always very messy. You see them zigzagging, like going in, coming out. I don't like that. I always like them being straight, because of course the numbers are there, it's going to indicate. So that's it. One thing that I want to mention here that is very, very important is that you can see that I'm seeing heading 1, heading 2. What of my title? If you don't put title here, the title will not show up. Remember I said we have handled title and we have handled what? Headings. Okay, but the title might not show up. So what you are going to do for a title to show, scroll down this whole thing. You can see a scroll bar here. Scroll down, okay, and go and check whether your title is marked. This one, my title is marked, so I am free. But if your own is not marked, I'm equally going to put one here. So all of them will be on the same line. So that's what I wanted to make sure that I let you do. So the title is here. When I say okay, and then I will now say what's final okay, the table of contents will appear. So this is the table of contents. Okay, it has generated. Yes, okay. It has generated a table of contents. See, these are all the ones you can see very neatly. You can see title page is I, list of abbreviation is II, table of content is III, list of figures is IV, list of tables is V, um, executive summary is VI, then chapter 1 is what? 1. You can see all those subheadings. So when I mean table of, you see all of them are aligned like this. They are aligned. I don't have any indenting here. Okay. So you see 1, background information, 1.1. All those ones I was doing there, you can see they have appeared here. That's why I said it's only those. You can see I did not do chapter 3. So on your own, you can go and now do it. Okay. The screen has gone off. Yeah, the screen has gone off. I think it's sorry, I'm using power, and once power goes, so that's fine. I think we'll close it here. So at least it was nice having this session. I think if you go to watch the video again, you'll be able to. So what we are going to do now, when we come next time, okay, just continue from here. We're going to do, see, there is that for equation, there's that for label of your tables and your figures. How do you do citation and all those kind of things? So these are the, very, very technical things that people don't know that exist, and that's why we are having this kind of, so that when you go to any company, apart from the work you are, your this thing, what if they ask you to generate a report or something, you know, it's very, very important. I can tell you, one of the companies I'm consulting for, the very beautiful thing that I do currently is the report. The report is so like the report is very neatly done, and they've been struggling with this thing for a very long time. So small, small things like this can make you very outstanding, So this is where we're going to draw the curtain today. I'm already 12 minutes into this thing. So thank you very much for attending this session. See you guys again next time, this time next week. Thank you very much.